boy is here. Welcome everyone to another follow-up type episode for the VidGames podcast. We had to do it. We said we were going to do it. The Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Wasn't that our first one?
That was our first one, and that went up, oddly enough, on Wes's birthday last year. We've got a year of the VidGames podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. That excites me a lot because we've talked about a lot of stuff, and there's still so much more we can touch on that we're just fans of and stuff. But yeah, that first episode was just a shot in the dark because I was like, hey, the cast listing that Miyamoto announced in that direct just dropped. Let's riff on that and see what our opinions are, and it led to. Now we've got this.
It's all come to this.
Yeah.
And of course, we've only seen a few characters from this teaser, right? We still have a lot of the voice cast that we did hear here, but
Yeah.
So this teaser trailer answered a lot of questions we had from the previous podcast, the first episode, but it also raised some others, which we'll, of course, get into. Who wants to start? I guess we'll just go with first impressions from the trailer. One of you two take it.
Definitely positive. Right? I would, because especially as we know, video game adaptations, especially, historically, are typically poor.
As we talked about, yes.
Just gonna be honest, right? There is a very small handful of exceptions, but for the vast majority of cases, the best you can hope for is so
maybe it'll be memed in the future. Who knows?
Yes, exactly. So, you always go into these kinds of things with a grain of salt, but it was pleasantly surprising. One of the things they just brought up to Marcel before we started is that they didn't cheap out on making Bowser come in and have that powerful presence. He actually feels like a badass,
My lord. So yeah, what we'll do too when we really get into the trailer, we'll do a play-by-play because it's a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
So it's not the first official full trailer. We only have two major scenes in this, and they're relatively short. They get the message across of what the film's roughly going to be about, and because of its short length, we will do a play-by-play on certain shots. Go in order with who we see first, who we hear first, stuff like that.
That's why I brought up Bowser, because it was first in. But
yeah, is there anything else for impressions?
Yeah, and then of course, one of the biggest questions for everybody talking about the voice cast was the voices of all of the characters. And again, like I just said, we only saw a handful of them so far, but for the most part, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Jack Black does a really good job as Bowser. I was really surprised. And the other thing. I was wondering whether or not they were going to try and go really hardcore in exactly what their voice sounds like. And, Bowser doesn't sound exactly like Bowser, but it has that same grit and same thing. Toad's kind of the same thing. And I actually personally think that's a better thing because if you have trying not to implement exactly, having that, it kind of helps separate it just a little bit while also being nostalgic at the same time. It's, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I know Mario seems to be the one that's getting the most
criticism
at the moment. But even personally, I don't think it's that bad.
Oh, I've got a whole thing planned to talk about for that.
But that's just my intro snippet. We'll go on everything in depth. But that's my overarching thought.
Go Vic.
Well, right before we even watched it, I even said it when we went live for our reaction.
We live streamed our the direct.
I did see that. I did saw that you guys do that.
So I had said in that the day before, I made a tweet being I had never been more scared of a movie with the poster in it.
Yes.
And
the poster.
Because the poster, I was like, okay, well, it looks like Mario.
The only thing I'll say right now, and I'll let you continue, is yes, I didn't have any doubts the film visually would look amazing. I'm glad how even you touched on, Chase, especially before we started recording, because we watched the trailer one more time. I've lost track of how many times I've seen the trailer. Even that day when it dropped, I was just, because through reaction videos, between reaction videos and just watching it over and over again to see the little details, just to get the full feel of the trailer, just because it was a cool trailer. I lost count of how many times I watched it, but I had no doubt that the film would look amazing. But seeing, like how you said, how full it feels and how full of life it looks and feels. So like, is really impressive because I think one tone they want to take with this film, because that's that second scene where Mario first comes in and he's like, what is this place? Wow. And he's like marveling at this huge foreign location that like they're trying to do some sort of like Harry Potter Willy Wonka thing where just everywhere you look there's something that's amazing, something spectacular, and they're trying to capture that like fullness of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And what can be around the corner, what kind of creatures live here and what happens here.
That's like I said,
Like world building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it actually makes you feel like you're there, you know. It's like 'cause
It's
all the extra little detail that's put into it. It's not just like
Also the
flap, you know.
Also the fact that this movie's gonna be in real D3D is
Oh, that's
really
gonna be
like
amazing.
interesting. That's where I'm like interested in, because it's like, well, what's that? What is that gonna be? What does that mean?
Because it's showing off the Mushroom Kingdom in a way that we haven't really seen it before, especially in the games. You only get like, here's Peach's castle. The way the layout in front of her castle looks different. It varies from game to game.
It's different in like almost everything.
The
you
Mushroom
ever play.
Kingdom itself is only really delegated to either Mario and Luigi's house, a Toad village somewhere, or Peach's castle. Now we're gonna really see like how everything interconnects, and we might even see beyond the Mushroom Kingdom, which we'll get to when we actually dive into the trailer. But continue your thoughts. What else did you want to say about it, real quick?
I think my first impressions mostly relied on the voice cast, because that's what I was the most scared of.
Yeah,
I think that's what most people were most.
yeah,
Because
damn near everyone.
Yeah, because even going back to when we first started when we first initially talked about the cast, I said that I was afraid that they threw the word comedy or comedic around
Yes,
a lot.
they did. Miyamoto
Or
did.
was
Yes.
like, oh, Mario's gonna be talking a lot in this movie. So that's
he's
where I was
so
like,
cool. Bowser's gonna be really funny in this movie. And it's like,
yeah, and that's where I was like, yeah, just saying it like
what
that.
kind of jokes
even,
are
like,
gonna be
you know,
in this?
That's where it's like,
yeah.
That's where it gets concerning, because then it's like, well, is it gonna feel like a Mario movie,
Or
or
an
is it just going to
Illumination
be an
movie.
Illumination movie
Exactly.
with modern day references
Yes.
everywhere? That's what I was most afraid of. Then the trailer, then this we got this, and it's like, I'm glad that they didn't do that. What
Well-
it seems like, I'm glad it's not going down that path of.
So it seems right now.
Well,
at
it
least.
seems,
So it
well,
seems-
Nintendo, from what I understand, has been paying extremely
Yes. Oh, no,
close
yeah,
attention.
yeah.
So
Oh, they've been
Illumination
going- yeah.
probably didn't have a whole lot of room to
Yeah, no.
there.
Back when this was first a rumor, and that was like 3 years ago or something, maybe even a little bit longer, I think. Back when people were like, "Pff, "Yeah, right, an Illumination Mario movie." Even when that was going around, Illumination did put out a statement being like, "No, you don't understand. We're working really close. Rather, Nintendo's working really close with us to make sure that we get this right. But yes, there are plans to make this Mario movie." And I'm like, I'm sure everyone was like, okay, but you are Illumination. You like fart jokes and minions.
Yeah, yeah,
That don't work with Mario. Like, I know we've got Mario and Rabbids, but like,
yeah.
Mario itself is not that.
One of the things, obviously, I don't know because I'm not behind the scenes, but one thing is even just those scenes, like talking about how full it was, I was thinking about just like comparatively to a lot of other Illumination films, it does actually look really, really clear. So I think probably what happened is Nintendo probably said, let's focus on the writing and direction, just animate it.
But at the same time, what podcast did you and I do where we did that like silly weird open where I was like, hey, Ed Scudder of Dig Figures, apparently too of Unikitty, which I didn't know,
I remember that conversation, but I don't remember
is
what.
the head of writing or of story on this film.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so, even though he's not with Nintendo, he's not from Nintendo, it still feels like that's a cool position for him to be in, because if you... And two, I brought that up in that other podcast with me and Chase, because that was one of the things we bonded over when we were in high school and we first met. One of the first things you really showed me was Dig Figures, and I'm like, what the fuck is this show? And you're just like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and then you showed me,
And then I showed Vic, and we
then
just,
started
that's like our little circle. Like, Dig Figures is just a really funny web show.
It's hilarious.
And he's the voice of Red, and he's one of the writers, because he's a co-creator of that show. So, like, to see him go from that to this is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it's
But
so
also the fact
yeah,
that
that's a big step up.
one of the biggest things they did during the Dig Figures era for Dig Figures was their movie. It was a YouTube movie. Well, actually, it came out on other...
Oh, I forgot about the movie.
There was
Yeah,
there
they
were
did
other
make a
there were,
movie.
there were other platforms that came out on like other web platforms, but they put it up on their YouTube channel in snippets. But it was really impressive. It did tell a full-scale story. It dove into their relationship, their friendship, and all that. And it was solid. And the animation was, obviously, budget-wise, it was way up from the show. So, you know, it was cool.
And then you had Dan and Ninja Brian from Ninja Sex Party.
Oh, yeah, they did the fucking credits theme. Yeah, Ninja Sex Party did the credits theme.
Yeah, and it was just them. It's not like a stick figure version of them. It's just them.
Oh, yeah, the actual...
Performing for...
The like, music video they did.
Yeah, the music video, yeah.
Yeah, there was a music video... Do you remember when there were like the Dick Figure songs that they did, and like they asked fans to animate to it, and they just collaged them together?
Oh yeah.
They did that with the credits theme.
Right. Oh yeah.
But the segments that they filmed and did that were them from the Dick Figures guys, involved Ninja Sex Party, and they were just kind of green screened in there with everyone. So like, it was cool. I liked it. But sorry, that's not Mario. The point being that him being on this project, from that history, knowing how to like direct a comedy, you know, for what it's worth, like going from there, also jumping from shows like again Unikitty and stuff, and now doing this, like I think he's a good pick because he doesn't go too far with like Dick Figures had a lot of like meme comedy in it, but the fact that because everyone seems to be really Nintendo focused with this movie, like I feel like they're trying to lean more into Nintendo's humor than any of their own, like any of Illumination's humor, any of Dick Figures' humor. So like, it's taking what they've learned and done from previous projects, comedy-wise, writing-wise, plot-wise, and then just Nintendoifying it for the Mario movie.
That's what really impressed me, and that's what really struck out for me when we saw it, because it was very much like, it felt like something that Nintendo would do if they didn't have any other partners or anything.
If it was just them themselves.
If it was just them, that's what it felt like. But
go ahead.
I was gonna say but with first impressions of like even with the voice cast, it was very like, that was the other thing I was afraid of was how they were gonna sound, because I wasn't sure if it was gonna be Bowser or Jack Black.
So that was another concern of mine.
Mario or Chris Pratt or whatever. At least with Bowser for right now, it sounds awesome. Like it sounds like Bowser. Like how you said. What was it? How'd you say it?
I said it's not. I wanted to wait until a little bit into the trailer to get into this, but I'll say it right now. When you see Bowser, obviously Bowser took the spotlight for this trailer. Everyone fucking loves Bowser.
Yeah, Jack
Even
Black
the
did a
Bowser
good job.
fans who like to do certain Bowser art or something, and have a certain other infatuation for Bowser, love Bowser in this trailer. but I've been seeing a lot of it. Trust me, it's there. You think Peach gets Bowser art and other fetish art? No, Bowser does too. People love him in this trailer. He stole the spotlight, and for me, I described it as, you're not seeing Jack Black trying to do a Bowser voice. It's Bowser who just happens to be voiced by Jack Black.
That's another thing.
It was impressive.
That's one of the things I was worried about with the cast too originally, because not even just the voices, how they sound, because Jack Black and Keegan, for example, have just to name a couple, but a lot of the cast they had, I think, typically has like a certain flavor and flair and spin to their stuff. So when I saw them, I didn't necessarily think their voices would be bad, but I was afraid we'd see too much of them and not enough of it,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And we only just saw a small portion, so there's still, and I'm sure there will be a little bit of that, but based on even just a little bit I saw, I could tell that they were really focusing on the character and kind of reining that back a lot, which taking the role a lot more seriously. Because we're worried about like the funny and this and that, so I was worried that was going to be kind of incorporated, but it doesn't look like, it looks like they're keeping that to a minimum, which I definitely appreciate on from them.
Sure.
Yeah. In terms of my first impressions, I'm going to say obviously I loved it. They played this trailer really smart, I feel. Even though, like we said, Mario's getting still some of the heavy criticism for right now, which again we'll dive into later. Still, this trailer was smart in how it presented the movie, because you get a literal cold open, on a different kingdom, and Bowser's coming and invading, and like you said, it definitely shows how much of a threat Bowser is. But even before that, in terms of voices, who do you get first? Ironically, how we're like, okay, these celebrities playing these guys, and like how you hear the voice actor first. The one who's actually a voice actor first before, being known for his on-camera appearances, if he's made any, which I'm sure he has. Kamek Richardson as Kamek is the first voice you hear in this trailer. It warms you up to, okay, I like his voice. Okay, that's I could expect that kind of voice out of Kamek. Then you get Jack Black Bowser, and you're like, oh fuck, that sounds awesome. And that's him. That's not. I was assuming. Okay, maybe if it's gonna be like, if he's not gonna put on much of a voice, maybe they'll at least pitch him or try to like, do a way to edit the voice to where it sounds Bowser. No, because he made an appearance at Comic-Con. He did the voice for everyone, and there's a clip circulating online, and that's his natural. See any of those. That's his natural voice.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I'm like,
that
even better. Yeah, they didn't even have to alter his voice. That's his Bowser voice. That's fucking rad. Then you get some of the other guys. You get some characters like the penguins and stuff. Then you get Mario, the one that everyone was like, "What's this gonna be like?" And yeah, I would say it's somewhat the reverse for Chris Pratt's Mario. It's his natural Chris Pratt voice. You hear a lot of it's Chris Pratt.
Yeah, you can tell it's just it's just slightly different than his typical like speaking to you voice.
Yeah,
but
so think Emmett from Lego Movie, but with a slight Brooklyn accent.
Yeah,
which we're gonna get into again later.
Yeah. I was gonna add more on that later too. I was gonna say real quick that from what I've heard of people talking about Chris Pratt's Mario, I've always heard either something positive being like, oh, that sounds nice, or it's
the French dub's better.
Or, yeah, that.
Oh yeah, everyone's saying that.
Or it's mainly just mixed, where it's like it could be improved, or it could sound better, or this and that, and stuff like that.
I didn't
because no one's saying that it's. I've never heard it. I haven't heard anyone say it negatively yet, or saying like, "Oh, this sounds awful."
I kind of have.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
but
I haven't either.
Like, from what I've heard, it's mostly just mixed right now because.
Kind of a neutral feeling of it. And part of that is it is probably most questionable, but it's also going to be the one that's the hardest for people to open up to because it's Mario, right? Yeah. So you put the two together, and it's naturally going to be a bit.
I mean, have you seen all those videos where people try and like
here Nintendo, here in Illumination, I fixed it for you, and they'll just like AI Charles Martinet.
Yeah.
I saw the AI one. That was horrible.
Hey guys, just a fucking note here. Maybe stop trying to quote unquote fix things that you don't like because you're biased and you don't like it. I've never tried to be like, hey Sega, I fixed Sonic for you, and then try to like edit some bullshit to Sonic. I don't care. Just fucking do whatever.
The other thing too is, you could kill it, especially with how they opened up with Bowser and they're really taking like that serious approach. I think that would clash if we had the really Yahoo Mario, right? I'm not like. I would appreciate a little bit more of that, but I think if they went all the way, like, I think it would clash a little bit. I don't know if I could handle that voice for 2 hours, especially when you're not used to it talking like that either. Because that's the thing is, Mario's known for mostly like a bunch of like one-liners and stuff by most people, right? He doesn't have too much.
So the stuff I really want to get into with Mario's voice in this, I'll touch on half of it right now, just a little small snippet. To what you're gonna be looking forward to in terms of my opinions on that whole matter. Charles Martinet, technically
he's
still...
He's doing cameos, I think, right?
He is. He's going to be cameo voices in the movie, but
as far as I'm...
Charles who knows who it is?
Yeah, they're still keeping that a secret, I guess. But Charles Martinet could have worked, and I put this in air quotes because, while it's going to be weird to be hearing that high-pitched voice for 2 hours, it's not like he hasn't spoken to people or in a video at length as Mario for that long, because there are many different examples. One of the first gigs he got, even before 64 necessarily, was at an E3. Remember the little puppet? There was the puppet. Then there was the Mario Teaches Typing face that also made live appearances, as well as being in that computer game. And he talked so much there, and that was Charles Martinet. Then you get the small quips and snippets in 64 and in all of the games that we've got. But then in Mario Sports Mix, when that game was coming out, there was a trailer, a little promo. Well, not much of a trailer. It was this little promo video. And there's this dude in a Mii costume, this giant Mii outfit. And he's an anchor. He's a news anchor. So they're playing it like it's this little, like, oh, we're live with Mario. He's going to tell us about his new game. And it's Mario. It's a CGI Mario. And he's like, they're like, hold on. Chase is like, yes. I'm trying to get the...
He's just waving his arms around.
No, I'm... trying to find the words to describe, like, over the air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like a connection, like video connection. He's not in the room with them. He's like up on a stage or whatever with the microphones and shit. So they've got the little split screen. He's like, okay, Mario, so tell me, what's this game all about? And it's Charles Martinet, and he's having an interview with this dude for the promo video, and it's Charles. He's speaking fully as Mario. So, like, he's no stranger to it. It's not like it's that foreign if you look in the right places, but that's only one part of it, and I'll get into that when we like really dive into that.
Yeah, and of course, it's hard to tell off of just. I mean, we only have like 2 lines of Chris Pratt being Mario.
Exactly.
So.
Plus, that line obviously isn't going to be said when they're actually jumping around in that scene in the movie.
And they always do that stuff with trailers.
Trailers get edited to death, especially now. Marvel does it a lot. They're a huge fucking player on that.
Yeah. So just to kind of end off, like, overall positive, right? First impressions are good. I'm not completely sold until we see more, but I definitely went from like all right, let's just see how this goes. So a good positive, looking forward to this. Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
I went from being fucking terrified to cautiously positive.
Yeah, reasonably confident.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yes,
that's what I've gone to.
Yeah,
because I like the direction it's going in right now. Who knows if it's gonna be different when the official trailer comes out? But I hope that when it does come out and we see it, I hope it still keeps what the teaser.
Yeah,
has.
if they keep the quality and like the visual fidelity and the type of humor and having the quality they're going for.
Hearing more voices, hearing like
I think it'll turn out pretty well.
More of Luigi or something.
I still want to hear Seth Rogen as DK. What voice is he going to do?
Yeah, there's still questions. I'm still a little like I'm saying, there's a lot of the cast that has those players. Seth Rogen is another one of those people.
Will we get DK doing his infamous laugh? It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. I never know it's gonna happen.
They even made a joke about that in the Chippendale movie. They had in the trailer they showed off a little bit of it that he's not an elf. I was gonna say elf. That would have been a huge Lord of the Rings fans would have gotten pissed at me by saying that. But he's like the little dwarf guy who's supposed to look Lord of the Rings-esque, and he's played by Seth Rogen in the Chippendale movie. He's trying to go after them, but he falls off this like thing because they're at the convention, and then the live action Lion King Pumbaa stands over him and starts laughing in his face, and it's Seth Rogen. So they have a little Seth Rogen moment. Well, in the movie, what they didn't show is that not only does Pumbaa come up to laugh at him, but then you see Bob from fucking Monsters vs. Aliens and Mantis from Kung Fu Panda. They're all coming up, starts laughing in his face. And it's just so they made a joke about Seth Rogen's laugh. I thought that was funny. But okay. So play-by-play on the trailer. Cold opens, literally. What it seems to me is, plot-wise, if we want to start predicting the plot, is, because you even said it, and I didn't really answer your question when we were reacting, because we were reacting, but you were like, is he invading all the kingdoms? And I think that might be what's definitely happening.
That's what it is, because here's the thing. The really big thing that I noticed was that just by him going to the Ice Kingdom to do whatever he was doing, he's not like, because what I noticed is that he's not on an airship. It's not like his
he brought his whole damn kingdom.
It's his whole ass kingdom on a fucking floating island that spews lava everywhere.
That was awesome.
It's like, holy shit.
His anchors are big chain balls.
Yeah.
Chain spiky balls.
Which I think you like jump over and shit in some of the games, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think so, yeah.
It seems like he's invading different kingdoms, taking their stars, and Mushroom Kingdom's
yeah, because I was saying that would make
to.
sense because he's I finally have it, and he's standing in front of the, so he's clearly searching for something. I mean, for the Power Star, excuse me. So it would make sense that that's what he was doing, going around from kingdom to kingdom, like just stealing the power.
That's gonna be. It's really interesting to see, like
just Bowser being Bowser.
Yeah, exactly. Bowser being Bowser. Bowser be doing Bowser things.
But like you said, no, him looking like a legitimate threat. I love those shots of him walking out. You just see all the Koopas there in formation. That overhead shot, that was like a very Star Wars ass shot of him, like
just when
his shadow, and he's just walking through.
Just when it opened and you see him there walking forward.
I was just ready to hear. Like,
just
it was very Star
Wars.
Was
very awesome.
It was really cool.
George Lucas is working. You know.
I was waiting for it, and
I mean, there was an episode in one of the cartoons where it
oh
was
shit, you're right.
It was very much
They
just
did
Star
Wars parody.
Yeah, it was
and he was Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you just unlocked that memory in my fucking mind.
Yeah, I unlocked it for you, dude. That's been in my mind for like years since I last saw it.
Oh my god. And it's actually really funny.
Oh my god.
You don't realize we're gonna be talking about the Super Show kind of a lot in this episode. Because I've made some correlations as well. Not just the fact, because I put this up the day the trailer went up, that the snippet of the theme you hear in that transition between Bowser's scene and Mario's is that version of the theme comes from the Super Show. So I did a direct, like, this is what it is. And one of the guys that followed me on Twitter even went further, because I just did like a mere comparison edit. He did an edit going from what you hear of it in the trailer and perfectly cut it into how the intro goes. So you can hear that seamless transition. It's from the Super Show. And that's going to be really interesting to my prediction to the plot and how it may turn out.
And it further goes into what I said before, like, I think when we first did this and then when we reacted live. But I want to get into that in a little bit, like when we get there.
So that's Bowser. One other thing I wanted to say too, that I said if you go back on Destination Mark and watch our reaction, was I the only one who got fucking Firelord Ozai vibes from the fact that Bowser just goes BAM! And just like fire breathes the whole fucking castle down?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my god, that's just him. He alone brought the whole I mean, it's ice, of course, fire melts ice, but he alone brought the whole fucking thing down. He brought his army, but he alone literally burned that thing to the ground.
You're like looking at this guy like, where is Sozin's comment?
Yeah. Because it reminded me of how that shot of him on the airship going BAM! And he's just burning everything to the ground. Like, it gave me that exact vibe, and I'm like, yeah, no, Bowser's a threat here.
Well, yeah, especially
he's scary.
I remember in Mario 64, he just goes, there's like a couple fireballs that fall down.
Yeah,
You know?
that's how. No. Some reactors too, or even that I've watched, some reactions were like, yeah, he was never that powerful with his fire breath in the games. Yeah, just a few fireballs that come up and then go down. You have to avoid them. Nah, this motherfucker just like, he's an arsonist.
Yeah, Death Ray.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, could you imagine what the Koopas would do if they like had shit to be able to help him, but he alone just fucking destroyed that whole place. I'm like, yeah.
Mario's got his work cut out for him this time. Bowser's coming with a vengeance.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see.
I'm done playing these games.
They would say something like that. This ain't no game. And by the way, that exact word for wording, that's the tagline of the live action film. That was on the like poster of the fucking. That's on the DVD cover.
How far we've come from that.
Well, by the way, a lot of people were saying how eerily similar it is that the Super and the movie from the logo actually kind of resemble the old logo of the 90s film. And also, if you take a look at that teaser poster that popped up before the trailer went live, someone zoomed in real close into one of the shops, and you can see like what because it's so far away it's blurry, what vaguely looks like a parody of that poster. With the big M.
Really?
It's super blurry, but it looks almost exactly like
I have no doubt that when we see the scene where Mario and Toad are going into the Mushroom Town, you're probably going to see it.
Oh, it's probably going to be there.
It's probably going to be there.
Because like
you want to go even deeper? Mario Kart 8 Dragon Driftway has a fucking poster that's a Koopa, and it's called Kung Fu Koopa. It's a legitimate parody of Kung Fu Panda.
No, it's Kung Fu Lakitu. Because
Lakitu? Okay,
yeah.
I thought it was Koopa. Kung Fu Koopa rolls off the tongue better. But
it does.
But the point still stands though. That
but it's
like,
still a parody of Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
It's almost like it was fate.
It's almost like Nintendo directly teased it without us knowing.
Jack Black is
could you
coming
imagine?
into our universe.
Wouldn't it be funny if they actually had that poster in the movie too, hidden somewhere? That exact same poster.
Probably. Did you see the McDonald's leak? So when the poster happened, someone else on Twitter was like, "Yo, this McDonald's or whatever." I forgot what they said, but it showed a picture of Mario's design before the trailer came out, and people were like, people are still divided because people saw it and went, he looks okay. Like, the thing that I noticed, and the only critique even still, because that's what he looks like, it was a real leak, in the trailer, is that Mario's 1-to-1, everyone, for pretty much the most part, is 1-to-1 to what they look like in the games. And Illumination was not, lying on that front. they do want to make it really feel like it just leapt out of the games, like it's an extended cutscene or something. But the only real thing besides Mario got the most tweaks, and again I put that in massive air quotes because they're small things. You get to see like how Luigi in Luigi's Mansion, you can kind of see the laces on his boots. So something similar, you know, with Mario's boots in this film. His sleeves don't look rolled. I always thought they were rolled up in the games, but they have that little like lift, that little flap with the little what looks like a little cutout in the in the gloves. So they look like real workers' gloves. And then his shirt has a little collar. But his face in the leak, people thought it looked weird, and people still weren't really on board with his physical design.
I thought it looked weird when I saw it.
It might have looked a little bit strange. I think because it's like a front-facing Mario, and usually you don't get a whole lot of that sometimes.
Well, it's also isolated, you know.
That too. And I'm thinking, what I thought from my analysis of what he kind of looks like there is that his face does seem a little rounder than it does in the games, and his eyes look a little smaller and rounder too. Not nearly to the degree as like movie Sonic or something. Cause, like,
I was just gonna bring that up.
Really small eyes, not like that, but like
God, the first rendition of Sonic was so bad.
when the poster came out, stupid people were being like, "Ooh, the Sonic movie looks better." And I'm like, the Mario movie's not even out yet. Also, were you around when the first teaser for the Sonic movie came out? Because that shit looked atrocious.
It was.
At least this looks fucking amazing.
At least it made a good first impression.
Versus the Sonic movie where everyone literally banded together, which the internet does not do normally.
Versus,
not in groups that large.
Under normal circumstances, whole facets of the internet does not come together for a single cause. But for the Sonic movie, they wanted that design change.
Oh, they did.
And it happened. At least here, it's divisive at best. In terms of Mario's look and Mario's voice. At least people are like, some are like, oh, this is pretty good. And Chris Pratt's not even that bad. Some people are like, yeah, but he could at least try to kind of do the voice, or at least do something a little more Mario accurate. And then other people are like, nah, it's still whatever. It's pretty bad.
Charles Martinet.
And that's and that's where the internet's at right now with Mario. But back to the play-by-play. So that's basically Bowser. So I think the stars, he's definitely going after the stars. Now, whether or not they're going to do some kind of specific storyline from any one game or anything, I mean, obviously we can rule shit out like Galaxy or Sunshine or Odyssey, but like, it seems like the plot might go in a direction where I felt it would probably have to go to keep it. Again, it is for the gamer fans, the gamers, but with so many of the decisions, like the casting and whatnot, they are still trying to go for the general audiences as well. Who, like the 40-year-old moms and shit who have never touched Nintendo, or the last time they did it was back when, like, fucking Mario Brothers. Stomping on Koopas. Everyone's making fun of that. When Chris Pratt kind of, like, had, like, a dial-up in his head... You just heard the dial-up noises before he said Koopas.
Oh,
that scared everyone, me included, because I was like, he didn't even know what they're called.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening here?
I did the same. I did watch that, and I was like,
he
got it right, but it took him a while to get there.
You could literally see the loading symbol on his forehead, like when he did that pause.
The funny thing, though, I want to say too, no, because some people were trying to defend it. But rightfully so, where it's like, okay, well, hold on. We haven't seen a single Goomba in anything. The trailer, the poster, no leaks of anything. Are Goombas even going to be in the movie? Because all we've seen so far are Koopas. So either he went through his mind for like 2.5 seconds into the script of the film, or because he said Mario Brothers arcade game, then the only real fact he technically got wrong is, sure, you don't really stomp on them there, you hit them from below, but whatever, right? Like... Koopa came first because Bowser is always seen with Koopas, especially here in the movie, where that's definitely true. We've seen it already. So, he's forgiven for that. I don't really care. I don't care about it. I just thought it was funny, because I was like, oh shit. He had to think about that shit for a while. But that's as far as I took it. A lot of people are like, why did you cast Chris Pratt? He didn't know what the fuck they're called. And it's like, okay, settle yourself. Calm down. So that happens. Transition happens. Mario comes into... the Mushroom Kingdom. So what I didn't finish, I thought. So yeah, with him coming into the Mushroom Kingdom, what it feels like is because it seems like it's an origin story for how he comes from Brooklyn, he and Luigi, and then they're going to end up here. So it seems like they're going to go for the most base story you could go with, where they were from Brooklyn, they're plumbers, or construction workers, because Wrecking Crew, Spike, they might do all that near the beginning of the movie.
I think that's probably a smart way to handle it, just because a lot of when they make the game adaptations, they try to make them like 1-to-1, and then you end up like, it wasn't exactly like the game, and then you make it exactly like the game. You're like, why did you make it exactly like the game? We already have the game, you know. So it's like a lose-lose.
Because people don't know what the fuck they want.
No,
it's always been that way. But you know, with this, so yeah, it seems like it might be going for the most for like the base story you could possibly go with. So they're gonna, you know, find it through an accident or through something or a legitimate discovery. They'll just be looking around somewhere and they'll find the pipe. I feel they're gonna stumble on it because it seems like that's what happens when Mario just gets fucking ejected out and lands on the mushrooms. So does that, looks and wonder what is this place, and then follows Toad into the mushroom town. They're gonna probably go and I don't know. So this is like actually like the plot of what I think is going to actually happen, because at some point Peach has to be kidnapped and Mario has to go save her. Mm-hmm. So that'll probably happen. I'm going to say maybe near like the last third actually, because we're going to be talking a lot about Super Show correlations. So I'll get into that in a minute. So what I think might happen is we'll get, because again, DK's supposed to be in this. I wouldn't say for too long. Maybe Cranky's supposed to be in this too. Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll show up, have some Donkey Kong-ness going on there. Like arcade game Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong-ness.
Like some Donkey Kong stuff going on there. A lot of inspiration from the 81 game and all that stuff. Pairing that with Wrecking Crew, so that is essentially Mario's origin story right then and there. He has his occupation of whether it's plumber, construction worker, carpenter, whatever it is. That's where that's going to take place. Him and Luigi. Stuff's going to happen there, which is going to end up maybe resulting in some kind of an accident that uncovers the warp pipe. They fall into it. At least Mario falls into it, since he was the only one in that scene in the trailer. Pops out, goes, oh my god. So at some point, he probably has to either go back in and get Luigi, or Luigi pops out sometime later. So that way the both of them can be like, oh my god. Or he gets ejected out somewhere else, so maybe Mario has they have to meet up and find each other.
So that's what I was gonna say. I guess to give my prediction of it is that if just to kind of rule out Donkey Kong a bit, just to talk about what I would feel like would happen in the beginning is like have Wrecking Crew there, because again Spike's supposed to be somewhere in the movie, and I feel like it works better if it's in the beginning to show to transition from there to the Mushroom Kingdom. Because I feel that with how Mario comes out of the pipe, either they go down the same pipe at different times, or Mario and Luigi go down different pipes that both lead into the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're doing their own separate things.
Or it's like the Bifrost or some shit from Thor, and like you can like travel through one way, but maybe it's got different ways. Or so much as like if you go the wrong way, then you just get ejected out into somewhere else entirely.
I would say that maybe that too.
You see that scene with Luigi at the end getting chased by all the...
That was a really cool shot though. I did like that.
With the dry bones?
Yeah, the dry bones. And that'd be funny because the thing with that way, like, because, you know, Luigi, of course, is the more scaredy cat younger brother. How appropriate would it be for him to end up falling into this world there? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People were thinking that the place that he ran into was a mansion, so they think that they're trying to allude to a little bit of an homage to Luigi's
Mansion. It had
mansion.
Luigi's Mansion's vibes to it, for sure.
Yeah, because funny enough, when I was watching the trailer like yesterday or something, I was going through it to just look at the environments and just like pause every once in a while to look at the details and everything.
To analyze the details you missed in the Mario movie trailer.
And when I got to that scene where they're coming towards the camera, I looked at the trees all around and I was like
dead trees, aren't they?
Yeah, and I was like, that looks like Luigi's Mansion right there. It looks like when he's about to go to the mansion.
Yeah.
But he's going towards Bowser's castle or something.
But because Mario as a series is like a very blank slate series, much like Mario himself as a character, which again we will be coming into soon to talk about. While in the games you can put them in any situation, whether it's sports, carts, parties, anything like that, all the weird fucking shit it goes through per mainline game, the baseline of it, which you can essentially just track to Super Mario Brothers, is him in the Mushroom Kingdom going to the castle, saving Peach. You know, so I feel that's still going to be the basis for this plot, and they'll just pull elements and pay homages to different games, and stuff. But I'm thinking, so if whether or not Luigi's going to stay with Mario from the beginning, or if they do get split up and they have to find each other, I feel at some point, maybe somewhere at least early on and before the halfway point, they do get, reunited or whatever the case is. So that way it's the two of them and Toad, and obviously they're going to be going up to Peach's castle. So when that happens, it's going to be the four of them. That's the Super Show right there. Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad.
Also Mario Brothers 2 as well.
And Mario Brothers 2. So
we'll see, Super Show.
So I'm thinking...
Actually, you know what's funny? Just real quick, I just want to say, I think it'd be funny if they somehow put a reference of, like, Princess Toadstool or something.
They'll find a way. That's probably your last name. That's usually what
Probably.
That's what a lot of media outside of the games, whether it's official or fan-made, tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just... Her last name's Toadstool. So... I don't think Peach would get kidnapped right away. I think because Bowser definitely... The Mushroom Kingdom, for as big as it is, because like we saw with the little Penguin Ice Kingdom, they're small. And it's all just them, right? So it feels like the Mushroom Kingdom is one of the bigger central hubs. And it's kind of like a... This is going to sound weird, but like a USA, as it were, where anyone can just come in that sense. So we'll probably get, because we do see some like enemy characters from the games, but as little citizens just walking around in that poster. So they'll be going into the main town, and it'll be like something you see out of like Aladdin or something, where everyone's there. It's a marketplace, it's wherever, but you'll get to see all your references, all your different characters, enemies from the games, New Super Mario Brothers, Galaxy probably even, or whatever else. And then I'm thinking that they'll probably meet up with Peach relatively early, because Mario's got to develop the crush on her somehow. And then they'll probably plan where Bowser's going. They'll probably like have... I would love to have Toadsworth come back, because I was thinking about him a few days ago. I'm like, the only mainline game he was in was fucking Sunshine. Like, and he doesn't really get reference outside of that. He's in a couple party games. He's not even a playable character in any of the racing games, as far as I'm aware. Usually Toadette's that spot for Toad's sidekick.
Yeah, Toadette.
So I'm like, either it'd be cool. We'd likely see Toadette first, then Toadsworth, but I would love it if Toadsworth was like her advisor, as his role is in the games, or at least again in Sunshine. So I'm hoping that they bring him back. So maybe he can get the information of like, okay, this is where we're tracking Bowser. He's been here. Another kingdom just went down, Princess, and then they have to like figure out where he's going next. So the four of them, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, can go out and either try and figure out what to do, or find out how to defend the Mushroom Kingdom, because eventually he has to come and invade. So whether or not he's going to take Peach and go off wherever else, that might not be until like the last third. Maybe that'll end up leading into where the climax. Again, depending on how straightforward they're going to play it, like hopefully they don't do any weird, dumb, fucking bullshit tropes of like, I don't know, like everyone has to be down and sad in the fucking last third before some shit goes down or whatever that has to unite them again, or what the fuck ever. Like you could fall into that very easily, and some of the elimination films in the past have, like Despicable Me 1. Like there was like a scene like that, and where they thought that Gru betrayed them or some shit, because he really just wants to use the girls for evil purposes or whatever. His main focus is to go and steal the moon, and then everyone's all moping and doping and like the coming up to the final third before the climax happens. I don't want shit like that. That has no place in a Mario movie. So I feel that hopefully it's a more straightforward adventure. So when Peach does get kidnapped, they go, shit, we need to go and get her back, and we need to go
Mario
rescue
just
her.
goes and do his Mario things. And,
yeah. And I feel because again, Nintendo is really going to be working close with this, and how the layout's going to be, written. I'm hoping that it is that much more straightforward adventure with determination and hey, let's go and do this.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Like I said, just from this little trailer, it looks like a lot of Illumination's typical spins are not present. So you can tell definitely Nintendo's influence has been really strong, which is probably a very good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I've also heard they put out something recently with Jack Black. He's talking about Bowser, and another thing Illumination does tend to do, which is a more lighthearted, not something very critiqued, I suppose, kind of thing. A lot of animated movies do this, but like having one or two musical numbers in there
I heard they might have some.
They might have something with Bowser in there, and of course it's because it's Jack Black. Of course they have to
and
do
it's
a little,
Bowser.
Yeah, they have to do a little something like that.
It'd be cool, like Jack Black to have it. Yeah, I totally see
a villain song for Bowser.
Yeah, go on to some hard rock or metal or something like that.
Some Tenacious D-ass shit. like in the last one, and I've been using this as a very common example. How I said in the last podcast, in the very first episode, I'm like, yeah, I don't want Bowser to like kick down the door to his castle and start walking in with like Billie Eilish's "Bad Guy" playing in the background, like licensed music and shit. But giving him a music number, and it's Jack Black, but it's an original song for Mario, and it's a Mario themed whatever. Whether he's trying to whether he's really kidnapped Peach and he's singing to her like I'm gonna take over the world and no one can stop me, and it's that kind of a song, or whatever. I'm on board with that. That feels more in line with it's an elimination thing. They Mario-fied it for this. I'm fine with that.
As long as it doesn't happen too often, right? Like a few moments.
The movie itself as a whole is a musical.
That would drive me nuts.
Matt Pat did a film theory on it. Not so much that it was going to be a full-ass musical kind of movie, but that there would at least be something like that. And they confirmed, or at least Jack Black teased or hinted that might be the case. They might at least have a musical number in there somewhere, in that sense, in that vein of like a villain song or something.
I'd be fine with that.
It would work too, yeah.
Any more thoughts before we get into the Mario thing? With the voice and all that?
No, we went in pretty good detail with the voices, I think. Yeah.
Because there was only one thing I was trying to save this for a little later. So, people's criticisms towards Chris Pratt's Mario having those two lines that he says in the trailer, and people wondering, okay, what voice is he going to do? The fact that Chris Pratt himself said this Mario voice is going to be unlike anything you've heard from him before, and it's just Chris Pratt's voice.
With a slight Brooklyn spin
with
on
that
it.
slight, yeah. So, I'm over here like, okay, guys. The people saying this, going, groaning, cringing, sucking air through their teeth, that's not Mario. Even though that's what we were scared of, even though we were kind of in that boat before the trailer dropped, and when we first heard that cast listing, we were like, Chris Pratt? Really? Why? These are clearly people, though, now that we've got the result, we've got the actual, what we're going to be hearing, the people still in that mindset, I feel, are people that have been sheltered in the sense of they know Charles Martinet. And that's fine. Obviously, everyone does. If you're like a fucking 80s kid or something, you had to get used to Captain Lou Albano, the guy who took over for Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mario World, those two cartoon renditions, Mama Luigi, that voice. They had to get used to Bob Hoskins. Need I mention Hotel Mario, as well as the definitive voice, Charles Martinet. So many different takes on Mario's voice. Everything outside of the games, sans Hotel Mario, has been the gruff take. That Italian or Brooklyn take. Full on.
And it sounds
How is
like
this any different?
especially in this case, it sounds like he basically came from
Yeah.
It's like
he jumped in, so it'd be
like,
weird for him to be talking that way if that's the spin. Correct. Yeah.
They really I think they're reinforcing the fact that like Mario comes from the real world into this weird ass world of mushrooms and
But
shit
him being
like
a
that.
cartoon character, I understand that Charles Martinet went for. See, Charles Martinet, when he, because that's his whole story. If you read about or listen to interviews where he's said it, on what his direction was for doing the voice and how he came out with what he came out with, which is what we have to this day, for Mario. He did originally want to do that kind of more gruffer, the more Wario type of voice for Mario.
Yeah.
But in his mind, he's like, nah, that might be too scary for kids. That doesn't sound like a happy-go-lucky, friendly protagonist. So, because he was also kind of nervous, his nervousness kind of helped him, form history here. That last minute when they said go for the audition tape, he just put on the Mario voice. He changed it in his head last minute. But we still got, in different other renditions, the gruff voice for Mario. Every other one that's not in the games. How is this any different?
Yeah. So I still have the most question marks around Mario's voice overall, since we only got the 2 lines. We'll see how Chris Pratt actually does. But
yeah.
my first impression was not cringe. It was
Exactly,
just,
exactly.
yeah.
huh? You know?
The both of us didn't even like.
We didn't even.
Our faces didn't change.
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah.
like.
We weren't
our
stunned
demeanor
silent or
didn't-
anything.
Yeah,
No.
so I don't think Chris Pratt deserves quite as much of the like negative feedback he's getting right now.
I still want to hear more, but I
Yeah.
think that people are kind of overreacting a little bit.
Yeah, that's my opinion too.
Because again, also reminder that this is a movie, not a game. So of course the interpretation of Mario is going to be different than that. You're not going to get
For as much.
You're not going to get
Yeah,
Charles
kinda like I
Martinet
said.
Mario
Yeah.
in a movie, even though that would be cool. But you're not going to get that because it's a different adaptation of the source material.
story,
Yeah,
yeah.
and kind of like I said at the beginning, is I think that's probably a smarter and safer way to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
So here's the thing too. The thing too with that is back when all those other voices from Mario were happening, the look, while solidified with the red hat, red everything, blue overalls, the look was relatively there for the character. Of course, Hotel Mario's Mario design looks different because it's different artists and shit, and different animators. To the Mario teaches typing head, to the cartoon, to the actual games, all different styles. To the Super Show cartoon, everything had a different style to it. So there were just so many different kinds of Marios you had to get used to within that time. Mm-hmm. This Mario, because Illumination, again, they all wanted to make it as accurate to the games, down to what I'm assuming the plot, because again we don't know too much of it, to the designs, to the feel of the worlds. This is the first time we're really getting as close to the source material as you can in terms of adapting it over. But then you hear what's not Charles Martinet come out of Mario's mouth, and that's what's making people still cringe over it, or their face crinkles up over it, or they straight up laugh at it. And that's why I said you're probably sheltered. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to call out any one person specifically, but I've seen too many reactions like that. Because like I said, I watched the trailer so many times through not just me watching it myself, the original trailer, but a bunch of reaction videos because I wanted to see what people thought. And while there were some, like Black Nerd, Andre Meadows, or whoever else, were like, okay, like we were like, okay, it's not bad. Some people were just like little critics, and they're just like, okay, that's not too bad. That's decent enough. Or when it got to Chris Pratt talking, they're just like, that's not Mario. And it's like, do you fucking even remember the last time you heard Mario speak with a voice like that? It wasn't that long ago. And even though things have changed to the point where back when the Mario, the live action film, and the other cartoons were made, the fucking anime movie, that was all 80s, 90s shit. There weren't too many games to pull from. So, like, those adaptations were already weird as it was, but, like, that was all they had to work with. And they were different, and also Nintendo didn't have as much of a direct helping hand in those projects, which Reggie himself at one point admitted when the Mario movie was brought up in different select interviews and whatever from whatever year. When Nintendo were forced to kind of address the movie and all that stuff, the old movie, yeah, initially they did surprisingly put a relatively positive spin on it, but then they were like, well, yeah, it still wasn't quite as close to what, actually at one point, I think they said, someone, whether it was Miyamoto or somebody, said it was them trying too hard to match the games. The 90s movie tried too hard to match the games. I was like, Miyamoto, did you watch the Mario movie? I don't think it looked like Blade Runner, dude. I don't think Bowser had cornrows, dude. But I don't think Bowser wore a business suit and looked like Donald Trump, dude. But no. So this movie is the one thing we have right now that is so damn close to the source material visually, and just how it looks. I mean, basically just visually. But having those voices there, like we've said before, even in the original first episode, we have to reiterate it here. Like I said, it was funny and clever that we did hear a voice actor first in the trailer. We heard Kevin Michael Richardson. But Kevin Michael Richardson is not going to put asses in the seats on April 7th. It's going to be Chris Pratt. It's going to be Jack Black. It's going to be Charlie Day. So having the A-list Hollywood celebrities there is what's going to get those 40-year-old moms to take their kids to go see it, not whoever Charles Martinet is, which is probably what they would say. The kids would know, probably, if they're paying attention to, if they care about that kind of stuff, who voices who, or the people behind the scenes of the games. But they know Mario's voice from the games. They might think, yes, even kids might think it's weird, That's why I would really love, I don't know if YouTube Kids has it or whatever the fuck, but I would love to hear kids' reactions to the trailer or to whatever.
And then we think like, hey, look, it's Mario.
Because
It's Mario.
Because the kids look up to us, who are fucking 20, 30-year-old somethings, that are like acting like children about it. Like, well, this is decent enough. This looks not that. The one thing I couldn't fucking get over was the fact that people. Okay, when the Mushroom Kingdom scene comes up, I can understand you going like, wow, yeah, that's visually amazing. When like the first fucking frame pops in and they go, I didn't know fucking animated movies could look like this. I'm like, where have you been for the last 15 years? Toy Story fucking 2 looked like this. What are you talking about? Like, that goes beyond 15 years. Toy Story 2 is like damn near 20 years old or something at this point. But like,
Toy Story 2 is.
A point being though, it's like, dude, animated movies have been looking fucking awesome for like years. Like,
I've always appreciation.
If you're questioning that, you've been missing out. You've missed out on decades of fucking movies.
I don't know. Some of the reactions have been confusing me and concerning me, quite frankly. But I think the voice is fine. I think we need to hear more of it for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the voice is fine. We just need to hear We just need to hear more to get like a definitive, like collective, actual like opinion about it of like how it sounds. Because we just got 2 lines.
The trailer did its job with those 2 lines in just solidifying. Okay, this is Mario's first time here.
Like, this is the tone. This is what we're trying to. This is the direction that we're going in. Whatever your impression.
They probably show that scene that way on purpose because to put that perspective into your head, so you're not just like, why is this not Mario's voice?
And again, showing it last, not just for the reveal, but also that's going to be the more lasting impression for the most part, since it ends the trailer. Yeah, and he gets the final words. So you go, okay, I have to live with. Okay, Chris Pratt's there. That's now I've heard it. When the official trailer comes, I feel we're going to get a lot more dialogue. We're going to get a real deep dive into the plot. And
we're going to hear a lot more voices.
And a lot more jokes. The 3 things I was looking forward to and that I was scared, I myself was scared of for this movie, and especially more so just trying to think about how these 3 things would turn out when the trailer dropped, were the character portrayals / designs, the plot, and the tone with the jokes and the humor. So like we were saying with Illumination's style, yes, they have injected a lot of fart jokes and a lot of weird lowbrow humor into previous films, mainly like Minions and Despicable Me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, there's such a, and that's not even just Illuminations. That happens so much in a lot of
DreamWorks stuff. Yeah. Even some Pixar stuff's gone away with it too.
It's been a lot of modern movies and stuff like that where they try and put like, they try and be like, we're hip with the kids, and it's like
something else that's been work with this. Something else that's been happening a lot more, because now we're in the woke era, so there's a lot of meta humor, a lot of having to acknowledge whether it's direct fourth wall breaking or it's, I can't help but think of, as much as I love No Way Home, when he's like, what's your name again? Dr. Otto Octavius. No, really, what's your actual name? Like, it's that kind of, that guy sounds funny, right? He has a funny name. Humor. Like, Marvel does that a lot, quite frankly. They've been doing that more recently than they used to. It's that kind of awareness, that self-awareness of, hey, that's a funny name, right? That character looks kind of quirky and weird. And that's the joke. When that's not really a joke. If you're doing that, that means you don't have any material and you're stretching to try and make the kids laugh.
Or like, I don't know how to make this funny, so I'm just going to make everyone really loud and scream.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it's loud, it's funny, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a common thing to happen, too.
Exactly. And Minions do it a lot, too. You know, they're funny little language or just them doing
half
random shit.
of their humor is the fact that they scream at everything. You know?
And so the humor was definitely one thing, but the fact that they do have a lot more of that slapstick, and you see the fucking when they're doing the snowballs and the music cuts out, and you think I love that they're so dead set. Like those penguins, first off, it's awesome that they're Mario 64 penguins. You can get that nostalgia in there, but the fact that, and a lot of jokes and memes have come from it, but the fact that they are just so dead set on, like, they're not scared. They're these little tiny cute creatures, but they're like fucking like Leonidas 300 ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're trying to defend their kingdom.
Tonight we dine in hell, and they're just so ready to just die for their kingdom, and they're just going, and it's just snowballs.
It's just snowballs.
And, but then one of them comes with a catapult and goes, "Fun!" and actually manages to knock a Koopa out. They got one.
A big ass snowball.
They got
takes
one.
Out one Koopa.
They did something.
I hope somewhere.
And then Bowser just raises the fucking place to the ground.
I hope somewhere in the background, like it'll be like fuzzed out. You can barely see it, but you'll just see someone picking up a thing and like dropping it off a cliff. Bye, penguin.
Jesus, but no, that kind of humor is good. That's like some very Looney Tunes-esque humor. That's more physical slapstick, and I think for cartoon characters, that kind of thing works. Because too much do movies and even some games kind of try to do the those references and make those, you know, oh Jesus, fucking the one I'll never get over in the Angry Birds movies. They say Insta Ham. And they got their little selfie stick, and it's like, don't.
I didn't even watch that film.
No. I didn't watch it, but I saw, like, you know,
either.
you got your Cinema Sins or your, you know, Nostalgia Critic reviews or your whatever types of reviews on it.
What was it? It had an
clips.
emoji movie too.
Oh, there's that, yeah.
That existed.
That was a thing that happened once. Thankfully, only once. But with this, they're really trying.
Yeah, and you can see it, and it's like I said at the beginning, it's definitely appreciated that they're going that route with it.
It actually really shows that they're fully being like, yeah, we're working with Nintendo to make sure that we give you guys a film that you will all enjoy. I mean, not just for one specific side of like the audience. It can be for even the people that have known the franchise for as long as they have.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you know, to Illumination's credit, I'm hoping that they're not like, yeah, no, we're working with Nintendo. We're working with Nintendo. We can't. We like to put a fart joke in, but they've got the gun to our head. We can't do that, dude. Like, no. I'm hoping that they don't really try to. It doesn't seem like it. It does seem like it's still an Illumination movie, but it's a Nintendo Illumination movie, and that's what I'm hoping. That's all I've been hoping for from this. Is that, you know, like we said, because you said it could either be. It could have either gone, it's an Illumination movie, and they're doing all the Illumination things, or Nintendo's cracking down too hard on them, and it turns out to just kind of be like a very baseline kind of movie, and it's not too like impressive. No, it seems like they really do want to introduce the characters and the worlds in a new way that makes
getting
it
a little
feel...
bit of the best of both, kind of, you know.
Yeah,
pulling off of each other's strengths and making a film that's actually going to be pretty good.
That's why I feel like physical slapstick comedy it fits better with the Mario theme than like having modern day references.
And having the
like I know that when we reacted live, I was like, oh, what if they did Jablinski and called it Jabowski or something?
Yeah, I was all like, they're gonna make a Jablinski reference at some point. It's Jap Black, which I mean, who knows? That can still happen. But
it's been refreshing because the last few years, I feel like the movie industry is finally very slowly starting to figure out how to actually handle video games on the big screen, you know, because like older movies especially have been really bad, but even so, you saw the success of, you know, The Witcher is obviously not a movie, it's a TV show, but it's doing really well, right? Castlevania, the animation series was really well.
Everyone loved Castlevania.
Right, that was good.
The Cuphead show.
Right,
Cuphead
yeah,
show.
Cuphead.
Well,
I haven't seen it yet.
I watched it,
but
it's
I've seen the overall reviews for it are pretty positive for the most part.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the industry's finally starting to go, all right, kind of finally getting that balance to work out, you know.
Because you still have like and the thing I think what I feel with that is that you still have your 60, 70 something year olds who were probably, you know, they had to have been like, you know, in their 40s, whenever. Back then, your higher ups, the executives, you know, and all of those people, but the new talent getting cycled in to these kinds of studios now are people that are around our age who grew up with this stuff.
Yeah.
So we understand Crash Bandicoot, we understand Super Mario, we understand Angry Birds, I guess.
Or just the video game environment as a whole.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So when we have to adapt that kind of shit, like, you know, as long as you get the right people who do know that,
you're getting the actual perception rather than the perception
Someone's
of someone from the outside who
interpretation of
doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
someone's interpretation of what they think fans would like or fans know versus getting fans in there who do know it and have the skills to animate, have the skills to write, have the skills to storyboard it out. And
A lot of the actors
can
and
make
stuff,
it as accurate as they can.
A lot of the actors and stuff now have played a lot of these games too. So not only are you getting
Yeah.
it produced from the inside, like actually working on the animation and the special effects and the writing, but you have actors who actually know what these characters are, what they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
what the player is going to want from them, because they themselves are one of those people. So they know they're going to have a better idea of how to act out or voice act whatever.
I mean, it's like he
is, these
said, Chris
characters.
Pratt spent a lot of his life stopping those Koopas. But no, I jest. I mean, again, I didn't want to make fun of that too much, but I just thought it was funny. But no, you're definitely right.
Even if you do, because even if you have I mean, just on a tangent, like even if you do have someone who's not necessarily that big of a gamer, they're probably around a bunch who are like, nah, you gotta, and this is what they're gonna, you know,
Well,
they're around enough people who
tutor
can help
and-
it.
yeah.
Exactly. Right. Where because you're right, I didn't even think about that. It's like, there's so much industry had probably little to no experience with any of it, so it's hard to
That's
make a
why
proper
back
interpretation of it.
Because either you find some company that, you know, can do the job, but maybe they don't know the source material very well. Just because it's universally known doesn't mean that whoever you're getting actually knows it as in depth as, you know, as you have when you made it, or as others are as well. Like, you have to find the right people for it. So
That's why, just to interject, I feel like that's why all those older shows or films didn't really perform that well, because
Exactly.
not only was there limited, like, not only was there like a limited like knowledge of whatever the source material there was then, but also it could have either been people who were inexperienced with certain things, or it was just super experimental and they were trying their best to adapt certain things, but it didn't come out well because of either like production quality or time constraints or a bunch of other shit that occurred then. So I feel like now that you have when you're trying to adapt something and you have a lot of things to work with,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot easier, and there should be more knowledge that goes into trying to adapt them, because you could be like, okay, what can we pull from this or that, because you have a lot more stuff to work with.
it's also something else too one has to consider when the devs and people themselves try to adapt certain things themselves, because Nintendo just recently got they bought Dynamo Pictures, so they've got their own quote unquote movie studio now, and it's called Nintendo Pictures. Or there was something they wanted to create at some point, or that they did create, called M Brothers Productions. So like, it really seems that this is something, and this is something that Reggie and Miyamoto said that they were looking into. Again, we talked about the Pikmin shorts and stuff like that. So they have been trying to step into this side of media for a while now. They want to do it on their terms, because again, the Mario movie, the original 90s one, scared them off so bad that when stuff like that Legend of Zelda pitch came out, they just like immediately fucking were like, nope, because they're not the ones doing it. If it's not their idea, they don't want anything to do with it. If it's a movie or a show based off their property
or a game.
if it's a fan game and it's something that is considered a fan remake of something that they already did. I read recently, Nintendo will only DMCA, because we talked about that many times on the show, on the channel in general, because we spent some CT on Nitrofield episodes talking about it. Nintendo will only DMCA stuff that are trying to be fan remakes of something they've already done. So Mario 64 remakes from fans are going to get taken down. An original Mario fan game will be safe. So as long as it's not something that already exists off of their,
That makes sense.
actual video game.
Oh yeah.
If it's based off that heavily, or is that, but in a fan-made version, that's for whatever reason just not cool to them. Now, again, like Chase said, not that you're gonna fucking think that fan thing is the actual fucking video game, but you know.
Yeah, I've said that before. It's like it's like the only people that are gonna find that are people that are looking for it, right? A casual person who's never seen Mario, the likelihood of them running into a fan-made Mario game as their first thing ever is so unbelievably small. Right. Wow, I lost the one customer that happened to.
Someone's gonna be playing Dreams and go, when the fuck did Nintendo team up with Media Molecule? When did they get Mario 64 in Dreams? Nintendo has deep connections, I'll tell you what. No, but the industry is changing for sure when it comes to adaptations, and that's something I'm going to talk about more in one of my videos that I've got coming up on Destination Mark. It's actually speaking of remakes and whatnot, it's actually going to be a complete and utter retelling or investigation into one of the things I talked about a long time ago on my channel, which was one of the discussion videos I did early on back in like 2015. Can video game films be done right is what it was called. Original went for too long. It was cringe. It was just me in front of a camera just rambling about video game movies. So this one's going to be a lot more scripted. It's going to take this trailer into consideration, the Sonic movies into consideration, and the Uncharted movie, which I just saw at the time of this recording last night, and I actually kind of liked it. So those kinds of, because these newer things have been coming up since then. Because the biggest example I had that I talked about in that original video was the Ratchet and Clank movie, which I still think is one of the best video game movies to come out in recent years. Solely for how it looks and feels and the voices. That's where I was thinking about that too. I was like, how is it that we have to recast Mario and Luigi, but yet James Arnold Taylor can stay as fucking Ratchet and David Kaye can stay as Clank, but I don't think the general public knows who those people are because they're not A-list actors that, you know. I just thought it was so funny because it's like Charles Martinet can't stay as Mario because of the things we talked about, but Chris Pratt, the issue, this is what I wanted to say too, the issue, if you want to put that again in air quotes, that I had with the casting, mainly when it came to Chris Pratt as Mario, is not the fact that it was Chris Pratt or being so totally focused on how scared I was of the fact of what his voice was going to be like. It was the fact that this kind of quote-unquote trend that Hollywood does with some of its actors is when they get really popular and blow up in one or two films, they get put into fucking everything. So Dwayne The Rock Johnson is just going to fucking continue to be in shit because whatever the fuck made him popular like 3-5 years ago, made him popular. So he is in like what was that? Jungle Cruise, Rampage. I think he's in Jumanji, isn't he?
He's in
Jumanji. The new one, yeah.
He's in Black Adam.
He's Black Adam.
Yeah, that's the one that's his newest one right now.
Because Jack Black jumps around. It's been a while since I've really seen him in anything, but he was also in Jumanji and stuff like that.
Yes, he was.
He was in Goosebumps. You know, he was R.L. Stine. And then you got, again, Chris Pratt, who's been in stuff like The Office and other things like that prior, so he's had a name for himself, but he didn't explode with kids and with a general audience like that until Lego Movie. And then you got Jurassic World, and then now you got the Mario movie. You got him in Guardians of the Galaxy. That was also a really huge one, since he was in Guardians 1 and 2, come into Avengers, he's got his little bit in Thor 4, Love and Thunder. So, like, he's MCU guy now, and all of them just have so much credit at this point. So when they're in anything, you're just like, hey, that's Iron Man. He's whatever. Sherlock Holmes. But that's why, For everyone else, it was the fact that, well, I should say, people are going to go and see the movie. I don't know why I'm singling out this specific demographic. 40-year-old, 50-year-old moms and grandmas are taking their kids and grandkids to see this movie because they recognize that Chris Pratt was in Jurassic World Dominion. Versus me, who was like, all right, sure, you just cast him as Mario. Why are you also going to simultaneously cast him as Garfield? If not because he's got this fucking A-list cred right now. And it's going to feel a little dated when you don't see him for anything else, maybe outside the MCU, for maybe a good 5-6 years later down the road in the future. There's going to likely be this block of time where you don't see him for a while. because it was something of a quote-unquote trend that he was in so much shit. Happened with a bunch of other actors. Happened with Kevin Hart. Happened with Nicolas Cage. There are just so many... Arnold Schwarzenegger. All the other, like, 80s fucking people you don't see anymore. Only sometimes when they come out and you're like, oh, fuck, he's in a movie again. Because this trend's been happening in Hollywood for so fucking long. So you got your action guys, like fucking Sylvester Stallone and all of them. Sylvester Stallone was in the fucking Ratchet and Clank movie. Because that name's going to put asses in the seats. If you don't recognize James Arnold Taylor, you'll fucking for sure recognize goddamn... I think it was, what, Angelina Jolie? What's her name? No, who was it? There was some actress, too, that I'm forgetting her name at the moment. Who's one of the characters in the Ratchet and Clank film. So it's either going to be her or it's going to be Sylvester Stallone. It's not going to be David Kaye as Clank. So, same thing here. That's why Charles Martinet isn't Mario in this film, or Luigi. And it's Chris Pratt and David Kaye. David Kaye is not the right... Charlie Day. Charlie Day. What I meant to say.
Yep, I was like, you
I saw David Kaye on my mind. But,
so if it's not them two, there's going to be the other actors, like Anya Taylor, whatever the hell.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, like... Actually, funny enough, before this, I watched a video where she was in other stuff.
She's in Game of Thrones, isn't she?
No.
I thought she was in Game of Thrones. Oh, okay.
No, she was just being in a bunch of other stuff.
Stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, stuff I didn't recognize.
But well, I IMDb'd a couple of those guys, and I was like,
I wanted to listen to her voice because I wanted to try and get a feel of what I feel she would try to do for Peach.
I mean...
And even still, I don't know. But, I mean...
I feel she'll do something in between what could be a normal voice that isn't too high-pitched and something still kind of peachy, high-pitched.
Probably.
Because, again, even her voice... A lot of these characters' voices do sound that weird in hindsight in the games when you really think about it. Key's voice for Toad is awesome because there is still that gravel there. But it's still a more higher pitched voice, and it's not exactly Toad's voice, but it's something you would naturally go, oh, that's right. Key's done a bunch of different shit in movies and stuff before, so he's something of a voice actor if you really think about it. This makes sense. Are little kittens fighting in the background? I think they are.
No.
This one's just playing.
She's just meowing at nothing.
That's why I think it's funny that even though we were like, okay, this is the voice that Jet Black's doing as Bowser, that impresses us, other people were just flat out impressed. Like, oh my god, that's Jack Black? And I'm like, did y'all forget he was a voice actor too? Hello, Poe. I think he was a character in Powerpuff Girls, and he had a music number. So, you know, he's been in a bunch of different shit. And people tend to forget that. And it's like, guys, this movie is not going to be bad. If anything, it might be disappointing. That's about the worst I feel you could potentially give this. Because that's how optimistic I'm going into this. I'm not going to say this might end up being a fantastic film. But this will be the genesis for a bunch of different Nintendo branded movies, shows, pieces of media that aren't the games, because they're already taking the steps to start walking into that. Yes, she is now a shoulder cat.
Yes, on my shoulder.
She's.
I was actually going to ask that at some point. Is to say, like, if this goes well, do you see Nintendo making like some of their other games?
I have probably 1,000% certainty that Zelda will be next. Because, like you've said before, and it's just fucking blatantly obvious that, you know, Zelda, if not one of the top ones everyone loves, if Mario is considered at the top, then Zelda's like right fucking
exactly there. Like if Mario,
if it's
for whatever reason Mario didn't exist, Zelda would be that, or you know, the Zelda would be the flagship. Yes, exactly.
And really, quite honestly, I can see them not even doing a movie with Zelda, but a show. Because not only
I think that would probably be a little bit better, honestly, just because there's so much lore and things that you'd have to incorporate. Because
not only Zelda would be a lot trickier though, because
I think Zelda would be tricky.
Each one is their own, not so much as isolated story, because a lot of them follow the similar beats, but they are different interpretations, since there are 3 different branching timelines of those same or similar.
One advantage they have though is over Mario is that Mario is Mario, and each game, for the most part, with a very small handful of exceptions, are like reincarnations. So you can so it would make sense for like a movie to not be off of one of the games and be like, it's a new Link, it's a new Zelda.
Yeah, I don't know what you could do for a Zelda movie. You only got 2 hours to tell the
That's,
story.
and that's what I'm
so,
saying. That's why I'm saying it would be better for a show.
For
I
a
think.
show, yeah. Because not only can you do... Now, you can do... If they wanted to put minimum effort in, you can still do this baseline story the way they're going to probably do with the Mario movie. But again, Mario makes sense for a baseline story of Mario comes to the Mushroom Kingdom, has to save Peach. Because that's the baseline that Mario is.
It's more geared for it.
Yeah. Zelda... Not only is it lore heavy, there are so many interpretations because each game, minus a few direct sequels, are their own incarnations, like you just said. So, instead of doing, you could, if you wanted to do low effort, kind of minimum storytelling, you can do a baseline story.
Yeah.
Or, like Link has to find the Triforce or whatever the case. Or you can do one episode as one retelling of a particular game.
Yeah, if they went the movie route, they would have to go like a extended Lord of the Rings sort of thing. I think
5-hour fucking Zelda movie.
I think Metroid would be another really good one to try and get into.
For sure. And I can see that going live action CGI, like some kind of Marvel type shit, because it seems geared for it.
It has the right setting and it has that seriousness tone that would translate.
Apparently, go ahead. Was there anything else?
No, that's basically what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Apparently, some company was going to do a claymation Star Fox show a few years back, but someone leaked something out. Oh, back when do you remember hearing the buzz about there being a Netflix Zelda show?
Yes.
But then it got canceled?
Yes.
That was real.
Yeah.
That and a claymation Star Fox were in production. When that got leaked, Nintendo went, fuck, they got scared, put their tail between their legs, went, nope, we're just going to cancel them. Because they didn't want anything to be set. Going back to the Mario movie, how much did we hear between the rumors and then the direct confirmation?
He's falling off. He's falling off.
He's falling off.
He's falling off for me.
Here, Vic.
I'll go put him back.
Like I said, it was a few years ago that we got those rumors. They didn't even really so much as confirm it. Like, Illumination tried to by being like, well, yeah, we're working with Nintendo. But after that, between that and when we got that one first teaser poster with the question mark block and the voice cast, what really was leaked at that point? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Charlie Day was on, I think it was Conan, and he was like, I come in, I do the lines, like, I know some of what happens, in context, but we don't know the overarching story. So Nintendo, even in the production right now of the film, is still trying to keep everything hush-hush so things don't leak out. So that way people don't get an early impression of what's happening. I mean, almost like what happened with the Mario design, with the McDonald's leak. Like, when that happened, there was that McDonald's leak, then there was another leak where we got to see Peach. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
I saw that.
I did see it too.
And Vic saw it. He didn't want to at first, but because it was fucking everywhere, you eventually did. And I retweeted it, but because I didn't.
Wow.
I'm sorry I didn't. I helped with, I was part of the problem. However, I'll relieve your stress. She just looks like Peach.
Oh, thanks. My stress has been relieving.
So it's not like, but
my anxiety that was up here is now all the way down.
No,
here.
but here's what we're trying to prove. Here's what we're trying to prove. Now that we're getting these impressions of this film, it's not that bad.
No.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no.
So if something leaks like that, if we see DK's design or some kind of a scene, like a shot leaked, it's probably not going to be that bad.
I wouldn't think
and
so.
And Nintendo shouldn't have to worry about that. Them worrying so much literally got projects canceled. Mm-hmm. When shit, like a small thing, the concept of it happening leaked. The fact that we even heard word that a Zelda Netflix show was happening.
I remember those leaks.
Didn't even get to
I think there was more than one in production, actually.
Probably. I don't remember how deep it went, but I just remember hearing that it was going to happen, and then as soon as I heard it was happening, it was no longer happening.
Yeah, because
so
I remember. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the league was saying like they actually had a couple different, because kind of like you're saying is that games are different and they have different interpretation and different levels of like energy. Some are more serious, some are more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think they were doing something. I think they were doing multiple shows for that reason, because they were like, here's our interpretation of more of the serious side of Zelda. Here's one of a more playful side of Zelda. Right.
That's some Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog / Set AM shit right there. Same actors, same like characters.
It sounds like they got canceled. It doesn't matter now, but but I think that's what they were trying to do. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that they definitely have a lot of room. Like if this movie does turn out to do well and Nintendo decides to keep trying, some of the other things.
I
I
really
was like Metroid is one I think it would do really well.
F-Zero could be
that was another one I would say.
awesome.
F-Zero. I'm not exactly a huge F-Zero guy, but I
Hey.
can see that translating to that medium very well.
An F-Zero show or something could possibly renew people's interest.
That was the other thing I was going to bring
wanting
up.
a new game
Because
finally.
there's a lot of games that don't
When's
really get
Metroid Prime
the
4?
attention. They don't get the attention or love that they used to get anymore, right? And so this could be a good way to kind of come back in and kind of retest the waters, retest the interest levels, bring that hype up, and then reinvent, come back to those old games
I also heard
that haven't
that,
gotten the same treatment as like Mario and Zelda and some of the bigger titles do.
I also heard, I think there's a sequel to Detective Pikachu in development. What if Nintendo got in on that? Like, more so than they probably had a hand in with the first one.
Oh yeah, I did hear that they were making another one.
So kind of like how Deadpool 3 is going to be an MCU movie, how cool would it be if Nintendo really put in their Nintendo Pictures branding into Detective Pikachu 2, made that part of their whole thing, so you get a Mario CGI film, a sequel to Detective Pikachu, which stays live action CGI, then you get some kind of a Zelda thing. And the funny joke, but I can see it happening, it could definitely happen, is that then later down the line, they do some MCU shit, and they can make a Smash Brothers thing. You could just bring everyone in and do a fucking Smash Brothers movie or something.
I did hear stuff about that, but that would be
what
cool.
if?
I was gonna say, I feel like I do feel that if
Or do a Smash Brothers anime or some shit. I
that's
made a
why-
video on that a long time ago.
That's what I've been saying since Wii U 3DS, but
Since that fucking Peloton trailer.
yeah, because I was like, fuck, that could just work. But I really do feel that if the Mario movie does well, which I feel like it might will, but if it does like really well, I feel that they could then start slowly going into being like, okay, well, what if we made this a series or made this a movie, or what if we went in this direction with this franchise, or even just being like, let's do something with this franchise that we've had here for so fucking long that we have never done shit with, and do something with it.
That's where Steam the movie. Fucking Arms the Netflix show.
Splatoon the movie.
Do you think that in like 4 years, 5 years, Nintendo will have their own streaming service? Nintendo Plus.
Nintendo Plus.
Or Nintendo Max or some shit. Like just something.
Or Nintendo Plus would just be like
a Splatoon show.
You know what? When the funny thing is when Smash Brothers Ultimate was shown off, because they teased it off as like, you know, they disguised it rather, I should say, as a Splatoon trailer. It starts with them and their own with the music and everything. I thought it was for a movie. Because we had just gotten Splatoon 2 news at that point, and then after that they transitioned into Smash, but they used the Inklings as that transition point. So not only did they confirm Inklings, but hey, Smash Switch is coming, and I was like, fuck. But I thought it was a movie initially. I was like, either Splatoon 1 is coming to Switch, but also why would they do that when 2 is already one with extra cooler shit in it? And then I was like, it's either that or it's a fucking movie because of the way it felt and was animated. And that was something I had said too way back, I think back in the first episode, in the original Mario movie podcast episode, where I was like, Nintendo, if you have it in your budget to be able to do these awesome looking fucking cinematics and trailers for Smash, do your Pikmin shorts, why not just do these projects yourself? I mean, I know you have to branch a bunch of employees off into that division because they're working, these are for your games and stuff, but like, with that kind of manpower, if you hire enough for that, you can have a whole other division to the side that does this shit. And
that's what it seems like now.
But it seems like they're doing that now.
Yeah.
So
really, yeah, it's, you know, I feel like this Mario movie is what's testing the waters
for sure.
And then if it does that well, then they can delve.
Because
delve more
now
into
that their
world.
hand is a little more on the project, now it's going to be like, okay, well, now that that's done well,
because now they're being given like that,
and
control
we oversaw
over,
it,
like,
and
you know.
and it's done successful because we helped out with it. It sounds a little self-centered, but I understand it.
Well, it sounds self-centered, but again, going back to the original movie, they had really no say in it
because
they entrusted their franchise with other people that didn't really know how to work with the material, you know,
or with the crew.
Or with the crew, yeah. I mean, if
the
you
whole,
look,
the whole production was a disaster.
So yeah, if you looked at everything that happened in the live action Mario movie,
Bob Hoskins called them fucking idiots.
Yeah, it's like
literally word for word.
Yeah, it's like stuff happened there. And like, you know, there was no real directions or anything like that, and especially not even from Nintendo because they were entrusting the directors with that, without even having their input in there. So that's the reason why we never got animated stuff from
That's
other people.
that's why they left it off with a sequel hook and then it never fucking happened.
Yeah, exactly. And
But the same thing too with other adaptations. I know it's not necessarily video games. Well, sort of. They did follow through with one sequel hook for Mortal Kombat. Then we got Annihilation, and that one sucked. At least for everyone else, I still think it's a guilty pleasure for me. I think it's bad, but it's funny. Yeah. Avatar, Last Airbender, sequel hook never happened. Dragon Ball Evolution, sequel hook. Piccolo's Alive never happened. But with this Mario movie, if they do a sequel hook, maybe Bowser meets up with somebody else, or it'd be insane if Bowser saw Ganon or something. Like if we found out that there was a way to go through other worlds that weren't just, from the real world to the mushroom world, but maybe there's already an immediate implant of implications that other video game worlds, which is their own, are also interconnected. That could be fucking dope, and leave that out for something else.
Because that also depends on what the cameo appearances will be like. That whoever Charles Martinet is going to voice for that, because there's going to be cameos.
If you really, if I had to put my stance on what I think Charles Martinet might do, if it's not cameos as other characters, I'm gonna kind of echo a little bit of what Matt Pat said in that film theory episode, but like, what if he's a little bit younger during the Donkey Kong real world part near the very beginning? Because obviously he's not gonna know about Bowser is the Mushroom World villain, but I think the real world villain, they'll do like some kind of recreation for Donkey Kong. So Donkey Kong's gonna probably be the one that he just to get that role in there. So maybe Mario's a little older there, younger there, and he's got a little bit more of, so that's his more, not teenager, but like, 20-something kind of voice. So maybe Charles Martinet. So maybe he will get to voice Mario for a little bit, and then the baton gets sent off to Chris Pratt for like the rest of the film. Maybe.
That would make sense. If it goes like that, then yeah, I would see that. But they mainly said that it was going to be cameo appearances by whoever the fuck, because they never said anything about that. So who knows?
We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool if it did kind of delve off into other worlds and stuff like that. Because then you can see that they could try and do their other franchises to make movies or shows or whatever. Again, it's just they're using Mario to test the waters to see how people are with this, and then goes. And
that wouldn't be too far fetched. I think. I mean, that's basically what Smash Brothers is, right? It's just the culmination of like all of their stuff, and so just kind of have like a MCU moment with Smash,
Yeah. I mean, we already kind of saw it when everyone was making fun of World of Light, and everyone was saying, "Oh no, they got Thanos snapped." Because everyone fucking died or got turned into spirits and then repurposed for the story mode. But,
yeah, it was even worse than Thanos snap. There's only Kirby. It wasn't even like half.
Yeah.
It was literally just Sakurai's boy.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
But, again, going back and circling back around. So, our initial thoughts for the trailer and everything we're impressed. Thankfully, it's really, really good. I'm glad that, Jack Black is amazing as Bowser. Keegan-Michael Richardson nails Kamek. Keegan-Michael Key is a really good Toad. I didn't know how that voice was going to turn out either. And I didn't even think we were going to see him in the trailer, although they implied it early with the poster. Because you see other Toads in that poster, but you got Red Toad with his pack, essentially Captain Toad, as it were, showing Mario around the market. So... And that seems like that's where they're going at the end of the trailer. So that was them teasing, this is what the trailer's going to be like for that part of that. Chris Pratt's Mario...
I was going to say, because you do see, like, when you see the mushroom... or
you can kind of see that marketplace down there.
You see, that marketplace right there. If you really, pay attention and look in that area.
Chris Pratt's Mario, I don't mind it in the slightest. I just see it you have to see this because it is a different interpretation. It is an adaptation. So as much as the visuals very much look like, the source material, as closest as any of these otherly Mario pieces of media have ever gotten, this is arguably the most accurate. But even then, you still have your tweaks. Like Mario's design is a little different. stuff like that.
No, but for an Illumination movie, it works.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's like that. That's where the Illumination kind of comes in, because it's like he's supposed to be a human. He's working at like a real job. You know. He just happened to fall in a pipe and get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom.
So, yeah, I mean the voice, not bad. I do want to hear more of it, and I want to hear other characters. Yeah, Peach, Seth Rogen, DK, Luigi, because we only
you just barely hear any of his
screaming.
voice at all. Yeah, exactly.
Little yelps, not even full screams or anything. So, yeah, I do want to see more Luigi. And that's basically it. No, I mean I'm on board.
Yeah.
We're all on board, which is awesome. Because the first episode a year ago, we were like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Like, I just want to see what it's going to be like. And in my mind, I was
definitely
already,
a lot different energy than the first
like
part.
in my mind, I'm all like, once that cast listing came out and everything else, I'm like, we don't know what, at that point we didn't know what it looked like. We didn't know how it was gonna feel. We didn't know how close the designs were going to look.
All we had to compare to was what these actors have done before and how they normally act out their characters. That's really it, you know. Like,
there was no real comparison. It was just, the movie exists. Here's the actors.
That's it. Bye.
Even
the Nintendo Direct before this one, because this Direct was focused on just showing off the movie. Mm-hmm. The other Direct we got that showed off games and stuff before the Pikmin 4 announcement, Miyamoto for some reason just said, yeah, production's going. It's going all right. See ya. Here's Pikmin. And it's like, why did you even... Was that supposed to be a tease to like, hey, we're showing it off soon, don't worry?
Well, he also reiterated that in this Direct where he's like, yeah, production's going really well. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but...
No, I just think it was funny that when he said that in the other Direct that was focused on games, there was nothing. And it didn't even so much as seem to imply that, hey, tease, wink, wink, we're showing it off soon. That's not really what I got from it. It was just him saying,
just like,
Mario movie.
It's going really well.
Here's Pikmin. And I was like, okay. But no, we've got some comparisons to make. Again, some of those questions have been answered. What does Chris Pratt sound like? It's Chris Pratt. Sorry, I know it's not him trying to... Do you really want Chris Pratt to attempt a Mario voice?
No. Brooklyn Chris Pratt.
That's fine with me, because I'm used to Lou Albano. I'm used to Bob Hoskins. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I don't really mind it. I just want to hear more.
Hey, everyone who doesn't think it sounds like Mario, watch those things. I don't care if you think they're bad or think whatever you think of them. Listen to those voices.
Oh, so
Does Chris Pratt really sound that bad in comparison? Not saying that the others are necessarily bad. You can say that for sure if that's your opinion, but my point is, we've gotten that similar type of voice before. This is nothing new.
It's not new.
It's just, arguably, yes, it's weird when you've got the visual to compare it to, because this Mario does look very closer than those other depictions to actual video game Mario. That's why it probably sounds a little off to you. But I don't think it's inherently bad.
I don't think so either.
I'm just looking forward to the actual official trailer.
Yeah, the official trailer, just more voices and all that.
But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Do
you agree with what we had to say here, or do you have your own thoughts? You know,
are you like, nah, I don't care, song's better? Leave those comments and I'll delete them. Tune in next time. We'll talk about some more cool shit.
Yes.
Can't wait for more trailer stuff.
And now instead of being like, oh boy, better see what they have next, now I'm like, bring it on. I'm ready.
Bring it on.
We've got a few more months until it actually releases in theaters. So,
6 months. So we should be seeing 1 or 2
more
trailers.
Got me intrigued, Nintendo. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah. Okay, it's fucking hot. Let's go.
It is fucking
turning on
the fucking cooler.
Oh.
God damn.